Why do Muslims wear fragrance? Let's talk about it. I hope you got your tea and honey ready because we're about to get fractured.
Fractured?
Fractured.
What's that?
It's like
Fragtured.
Churred instead of fractured. You get it?
Yeah, I get it.
It's pretty good, right?
I didn't. It's like it took me a while to get it.
It does, man. But
I hope you have like a caption or something, right? Because
I'm gonna say fragile because it sounds like you're. Now we gotta take a sip.
Nice.
Some good tea, right? I'm Ahmed, aka Vigilante, and I'm here with a great connoisseur that's gotten into organic materials and gotten into oud and a whole bunch of different things that I'm excited to get into. And this is
Also Ahmed.
also Ahmed. All right. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? How did you get into fragrances and you know, like the hobby overall?
Nice. The hobby. I like that you mentioned it. It's a hobby. Sometimes it feels like a full-time job.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
I mean, full-time job, and it's an expense, a big expense.
Big expense. You have to have a budget. For
I don't know about a budget. We don't do budgets.
We don't
here.
budget on it?
No, we don't budget.
All right. But yeah, I got into it because I was in Mecca. We had done Umrah. I was with a friend, and we visited a lot of these perfume shops because there's tons of them wherever you go in Mecca. I bought some stuff because I bought so much. The guy gave me a gift. I loved it more than the stuff that I bought for myself. And I ended up using the whole thing. It was a little vial of oil, and I really wanted to know what was in it. And I started looking it up. I started showing it to different people. Nobody could identify it. Long story short, I eventually found out what it was through a lot of trial and error. Like I'd buy little samples, I'd buy raw ingredients. And through that journey, I found that I really like raw ingredients. I like just smelling things as they are, as they come from the earth, as you would say. And that's what got me really started on this hobby. So I went from there, just wanted to figure out what this one perfume was. And now I, dabble in making my own stuff.
Now you make your own perfumes.
Yeah, I try to.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Very good.
Try not to kill anybody in the process. Yeah.
Yeah. So today we're talking about how or why Muslims wear fragrances. Why Muslims specifically are tied to fragrance. Like, what about Islam as a religion or as a faith ties us to fragrance? For me personally, my interest in fragrance, it's gone back as far as I can remember, as far as, when I was a kid, when I was my kid's age, around 6, 7, 8.
Yeah.
I used to always kind of get any kind of fragrance and try to dabble, put them together. I would wear them at the nighttime, right before I go to sleep.
Nice.
I'd wear them in the morning. People used to actually make fun of me for wearing fragrances before I sleep. Like, who's going to smell you? And it just it was like a fitra. It was like the natural inclination.
You're drawn to it.
Yeah, you're drawn
Yes.
to it.
Yeah.
And my father, Allah yarhamu, may Allah have mercy on his soul, he was a huge fragrance individual, but not the way that I am. He was more like into the oils and mixing oils and all that stuff. And then eventually he ended up getting, a couple of sprays. And so I just followed in his footsteps. And for me, it was when he passed that I think that's when I got heavy into the collecting, because
Nice.
around that time he was a little bit sick and I started collecting a little bit. And after he passed, I think it just kind of was like a comfort zone for me. So I went ham after that, so.
Exactly.
But that's my interest in fragrance, and a lot of it, the biggest motivation for me is, and I'm sure it is as well for you, is knowing that it's something that draws us closer spiritually to our faith and to God, to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Exactly.
So why don't you talk about that a little bit? Like what do you see about Islam draws you to fragrances in general? What about it? What makes it uniquely a fragrant religion?
All of us can relate to this experience. For example, it would be Eid time, and my mother would put oud on me or spray me down with fragrance, stuff like that. So definitely something that we've grown up around. Like, you wake up in the morning, you got to make sure you smell nice, got to make sure you look nice, and we're taught this as children. And of course, it's something that our Prophet, ﷺ,
Peace and blessings be upon him,
would encourage people to do, and he would do it himself. So the first thing that I would say is, just out of love of our Prophet ﷺ, that's why we do it, right? Something that he encouraged. Not only did he do it for himself, because you can make the argument and say that he did it for himself,
right? Not
really binding it on us anyway, but he encouraged people to.
He encouraged us, yeah.
And especially on our holy holidays like Eid, Friday prayers.
Eid is like almost it's not the same as Christmas, but in terms of the annual nature of it, right. It's kind of similar to or analogous to what Christians would celebrate in terms of Christmas.
And we have two of them.
We have two of them.
Yeah, they're about a month apart.
Give gifts to each other. It's huge. It's around the Abrahamic tradition of Abraham and his wife Sarah and his wife Hagar. It's a whole big thing there. And also around the month of fasting, which is coming up in just a couple of days, right?
Just a couple of days,
Yeah.
exactly, yeah.
So that's Eid. But yeah, go ahead, continue.
So for all of these big holidays that we have, and honestly even for day to day, we're encouraged to smell nice. Number one, it's as a courtesy to other people, right? Like having, smelling bad, walking into a prayer and stuff like that, it could distract people. And then just naturally as a human fitrah or inclination, you incline towards things that smell good. In Jannah, in paradise, the way that we would smell would be smell like musk.
Like musk, yeah.
Right. So that immediately makes it very interesting for us. Like this is something that relates not just to us as Muslims here, but to the afterlife.
To the
as well.
afterlife.
Exactly, yeah. So that's immediately very interesting.
Also, from a spiritual perspective, we're encouraged to smell good before we pray.
يا بني آدم خذوا زينتكم عند كل مسجد وكلوا واشربوا ولا تسرفوا إنه لا يحب المسرفين.
The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him,
yourself,
would brush his teeth every single prayer. We have 5 prayers a day. Before every single prayer, he would brush his teeth. He was very cognizant of how his breath smelled. Don't go to the mosque, for example, if you just finished eating onions, raw onions. He himself wouldn't eat garlic or onions, I believe. Was it onions as well that he didn't eat?
Garlic.
Garlic specifically.
Garlic,
But the ban or the prohibition was on onions. Am I correct or am I mistaken?
to go to the masjid.
To the masjid, was it raw onions or was it garlic?
It's
Or is it both?
I believe, from what I've heard, it's garlic.
Yeah, okay.
Right? But the general principle
Not to go
applies.
with your breath smelling like
Smelling
skank.
very bad. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, some of this stuff I wouldn't wear to the masjid either, right?
True, that's a good point. That's a good point. That is a good point. Yeah,
Clear the place out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Clear
yeah,
the place
yeah.
out.
So, so that's a big, so why is that the case? Is because the angels don't gather in places that are
dirty.
actually dirty. So they're disgusted by the same things that the children of Adam, which is humans, that humans are actually disgusted by. So,
Right.
and vice versa, shayateen, the demons, the satanic entities, and Muslims do believe in the existence of satanic entities, the files, those kinds of beliefs that move how powerful people move.
That's a video for another day.
But we're not going to get into those details.
But I like that you mentioned the spiritual aspect of things. And there's 2 things I'd say about that, especially when you're about to pray. Think of it as you're going to meet someone very important.
Right.
And you would never go out to meet somebody very important in your pajamas. You would never go out smelling bad. In fact, you would go to great lengths to improve the way you look and present yourself the best way you can and put your best foot forward. So from one aspect, that is a very spiritual thing for us. Like when we get ready for prayer, you're meant to prepare yourself a little bit because you're about to have an audience with God. The second thing is, just like when we see a beautiful sunset or a beautiful vista in the world, you drive by somewhere very nice and scenic and you say, wow, Muslims like to remember God in those moments. Mm-hmm. So we say subhanallah, we say praise be to Allah. So anything that reminds you of Allah eventually is a good thing.
What does Allah mean, by the way? Because we keep saying Allah.
Right.
Can you just
Allah
clarify?
is the Arabic word for God.
For God,
Right.
okay. Christians use it as well?
Yes, Arab Christians will say Allah.
Arab Jews use it as well?
Arab Jews use it as well. When I think about what perfume is, it's stuff that comes out of the ground. It's stuff that we get from animals. It's stuff that we get from the world, the material world that Allah Azza wa Jal has given us. These are
yeah.
God-given things.
Yeah.
So it blows you away to think that God, in His infinite mercy, gave us a world that has all this variety of good smelling things. He could have given us one thing that smells good and that's it.
Or it could have just stank for the rest of your life.
Right.
It didn't have to smell good.
Yeah, you didn't have to smell good.
Yeah, you didn't have to smell good.
It's one of those things that people think are optional. He made us people who enjoy things and He provided us things to enjoy. And as we're going to see, huge varieties of stuff to enjoy. Like, look at all this, right?
Yeah. Think about COVID, how big of a deal that was when people lost their sense of scent. Like, that was a big deal. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says if you count the blessings of Allah, you won't be able to count. If you start counting them, you won't be able to count how many blessings there are that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given to you. Forever.
Literally.
وإن تعدوا نعمة الله لا تحصوها وإن تعدوا نعمة الله لا تحصوها إن الله لغفور رحيم والله يعلم ما تسرون وما تعلنون والذين يدعون من دون الله لا يخلقون شيئا والذين يدعون من دون الله لا يخلقون شيئا وهم يخلقون.
Diminishing your sense of smell just a little bit when you're sick, for example. You feel like you're not whole. You feel like something's missing.
Right.
That in itself shows you the huge blessing that just having a nose,
Right,
or having ears, or having eyes is.
right,
So
right, right.
That's a very good point.
You need your sense of smell for you to be able to sense if there's some sort of danger that's coming. That's why we find certain things as skanky or so. Because think about it, like oud, right? When oud comes off as skanky at first, the reality is your nose is actually detecting the origins of what that is, which is an infection. It's the tree being infected.
Right.
So the oud is actually infected by something that the nose and your body wants to make sure it does not ingest. So automatically it comes off as stinky. Yeah. And then it's pleasant. It's actually not really harmful.
Everything that we're talking about here, this is a sick tree, and it just so happened to smell nice for
right.
us. This is a deer that you, you killed it to eat it, for example, but like you pulled out an organ of it and it smells nice afterwards. Like it just goes to show that we live in a world that is imperfect. The best things that we enjoy, point your gaze towards the afterlife where things will be perfect, right? We will smell naturally like musk in the afterlife, for example, without having to kill a deer, without having to pull any organs out of some animal and like dry it and age it and let it sit. So that's another thing, right? It's like you can enjoy it now, but remember that later on, it's going to be much better.
Yeah.
Enjoy.
You know, also, I don't know if I would call it a misconception. I would call it more of like a malicious rumor that is sometimes spread by, I would say, haters. You know, the idea that Muslims are, unhygienic, right? Or Muslims are, stinky individuals. It's interesting because it's literally the opposite. So it's like it's a literal lie in the sense that if you were to evaluate the different faiths and the different groups of people, there is a very strong argument, if not the clearest argument, that the one faith that revolves around smelling good and being clean and being hygienic is the faith of Muslims.
Right, exactly. We make wudu, we wash our
feet. You have to wash before you pray on a regular day-to-day basis. Right. And it's interesting that all of these rulings came to a people that were in the desert area that had minimal water, and yet still you have to use water in order to wash before you pray.
That precious water.
Exactly. There's definitely so much we can talk about. The types of foods that the Prophet, peace be upon him, ate, how that contributes to your sweat. And it's just kind of like if you follow that diet, automatically that's going to contribute to your natural body odor. The body odor of the Prophet, peace be upon him, was very fragrant in and of itself. Going back to why Muslims wear fragrance, or why we're attracted to fragrance in such a strong way, it's part of the origins of our faith. Smelling good as we're living life because we're interacting with people, and smelling good as we're interacting with our Creator through our prayers, smelling good as we interact with the angels, and smelling good in preparation for when we, God willing, go to paradise, go to heaven, because that's going to be a fragrant place. Whereas the opposite, when someone is not smelling good or smelling foul, they are actually embodying some of the attributes that are also embodied by some of the evil things that are within the faith, such as the satanic entities, such as hell. The smell of hell has been described, and the smell of punishment of hell has been described. And even as we see it within our own world, and as we are walking today, what's foul is usually what's dying. Decay or something that is poisonous or bad for your body, usually that is something that is a foul. So it's in and of itself a full embodiment of trying to reach your spiritual pinnacle as much as possible, and moving away from what can push you away from spirituality.
Exactly.
And that's minus the psychology as well.
Exactly. You take care of what you care about. So if you have something that you really love, right, your car, for example, make sure it's cleaned up every day, you get it detailed, you don't let a scratch get on it, right?
Right.
And that's because it already is valuable to you,
right?
So you take care of it. But in psychology, the reverse actually happens also. So if you were to have a shabby car, and you force yourself every day to take care of it, clean it, buff it, make sure the reverse will start to happen, where you start to care about it more because you started from the other way. You started to take care of it more.
Yes.
So the same happens when you start to take care of yourself and groom yourself. And part of grooming yourself is smelling good.
Absolutely. That's a great point, because I find wearing fragrances, and I see within the community there is a little bit of a correlation, particularly within the men, I can speak for for I noticed in the men, is that as they wear more fragrance, there's also a correlation with working out and exercise. You know that, that like a lot of the fragrance groups that I'm in, they also have like a subsection that's for exercise, gym, and the food that you eat, and kind of like encouraging each other, taking care of yourself, making more money, being more successful. Those are all kind of traits that everyone's trying to kind of embody while they're in this hobby.
Yeah, and it's like the saying goes: take care of yourself, you'll feel better.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much. Next, we're going to be talking about ouds and the different types of ouds, where they originate, how they smell, Indian oud, Cambodian oud, all that kind of stuff. And I'm very interested and really excited to get into all the ingredients that you have.
All sorts of stank.
All right. Thank you so much, Ahmed. Appreciate it. See you on the next video. Keep your faith and fragrances cool, calm, and protected. Peace.